Welcome back. The news in details. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Monday said new cities projects should be completed in its due time and should be developed to be sustainable and to provide an asset to the national economy. The remark was made as he met with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Housing and Urban Communities Asim al-Gazzar, as well as the Presidential Advisor for Urban Planning and the head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority. Presidential spokesman Councillor Ahmed Fahmy said the meeting followed up on the new cities projects across the country and reviewed the government's efforts to upgrade urban areas in such a way that preserves their traditional Egyptian architecture. Egyptians across the nation cast their ballots in the 2024 presidential elections on the second day of voting on Monday. Polling stations were set up nationwide to choose a leader from among 4 presidential hopefuls for a new 6-year term.
Polling stations closed on Monday night after Egyptians cast their ballots in the second day of the 2024 presidential elections. With the polls closure, the Cairo Governor Khalid Abdel Al pointed out that a large turnout was reported in all polling stations across the capital, denoting the citizens' keenness on electing their leader in a new patriotic epic towards a continued construction and development path of their new republic. Some 65 million citizens are eligible to vote in the elections running from October 10th until October 12th. 4 candidates are vying for Egypt's top post, namely Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, head of the Egyptian Democratic Social Party, Farid Zahran, head of Al-Wafd Party, Abdel Sanadi Amama, and the head of People's Republican Party, Hazem Omar. The elections are being held in 11,631 polling stations in 9,376 constituencies, distributed on schools, youth centers, and healthcare units. Some 15,000 judges are supervising the vote, which is being monitored by about 62 civil society organizations, in addition to missions from nearly 14 regional and international institutions. According to the State Information Service, approximately 528 international correspondents are participating in the media coverage, representing 115 international media channels, newspapers, news agencies, and websites from 33 countries. Heavy voter turnout has been witnessed in the first day of casting ballots, with the manager of the National Election Authority's executive body, Councillor Ahmed Bindari, saying that so far amounted to 45% until early Monday. The higher turnout was particularly observed in the Upper Egypt governorates of El Minya and the Aswan, in addition to Suez and the Red Sea cities.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli asserted the importance of providing citizens with services and means to facilitate practicing their constitutional right in the presidential elections. The Premier's remarks came during a meeting of the Cabinet Central Operation Chamber at the government headquarters in the new administrative capital to follow up on presidential elections voting process. Madbouli reiterated that the big turnout and the positive participation reflects the Egyptians' awareness on the current challenges facing the state. Meanwhile, Madbouli expressed his appreciation for the media in covering the vote and presenting a realistic image for the turnout at all polling stations across the nation. The Minister of Local Development and a number of governors participated in the meeting via video conference. The National Elections Authority's executive body's head, Ahmed Bindari, said on Monday the presidential vote across the nation concluded its second day with no complaints, adding that some polling stations had to extend its shutdown schedule until after 9 p.m. due to the large numbers of voters. Addressing a press conference on Monday evening, Bindari said that the turnout during the current election process is unprecedented. Earlier, Bindari called for positive participation of the Egyptian people in the presidential elections that kicked off on Sunday for 3 consecutive days. Chief of the State Information Service, Diyar Rashwan, said on Monday that the SIS in Operation Theatre observed a large number of reported published by hundreds of international media memes in different languages, which drew up a consensus of the voters' heavy turnout on polling stations. In its first report on the second day of voting, The SIS said the remarks noted in these reports showed hundreds of foreign correspondents and monitors touring the headquarters of polling stations and watching the vote procedures in all governorates without any obstacles or complaints. In addition, the report cited the SIS organizing visits to the correspondents to polling stations across Cairo, along with those in Rafah and El Arish cities. Rashwan asserted that none of the international media means published any reports of any breaches to the safety or integrity of the electoral process, whether at polling stations or outside them, in a direct hint to the state authorities' non-interference in the electorate's free will. A delegation representing the United Nations Security Council member states on Monday visited Rafah and El Arish cities in coordination with Egypt and the United Arab Emirates UN missions. The Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid said that the Council members followed up the pace of humanitarian and medical aid convoys provided in relief to fellow Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. They, in particular, checked the aid offered by the Egyptian Red Crescent and the medical support provided to the wounded Palestinians by Egyptian medics, along with the hurdles facing the access of such an aid to the besieged strip imposed by the Israeli Occupation Authority. A majority of the United Nations member states support an immediate and lasting ceasefire between the Israeli occupation side and the Palestinian resistance group Hamas as dire conditions worsen for its 2.3 million residents. The visit came days after the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned that thousands of people in the besieged Palestinian enclave were simply starving.
Welcome back, and the news in full. On the second day of the presidential elections, Egypt's stock market indices collectively slid at the end of the trading session Monday after being affected by high rates of profit-making operations. The benchmark EGX 30 index slid slightly by 0.03% to close at 24,182.06 points. The EGX 70 index for small and medium businesses also shed by 1.61% to close at 5,111.35 points. And the broader EGX 100 index also slid by 1.42% to close at 7,440.04 points. The market capital of listed companies lost 11 billion pounds to close at 1,615 billion pounds amid transactions of deals of about 11.6 billion pounds.